of essentially technocrats, chief external examiners from all over the country, who are vice chancellors, provosts, and rectors. And we have invited 2, 3, or 4 persons from the civil society. Those we believe, we may be wrong, we may be right, have been patriotic and responsible enough that they will take national interest above parochial interests. So we have called this meeting to review as professionals, basically as educators, not grandstanding. And for this reason, we want to have a closed-door meeting where we will look at what we are doing, what we have done, and what we need to do. As chief external examiners, we meet normally. It's only that this and it's not. It's at least we meet thrice in a year. On this is not something that we are just meeting, but it also has its lessons for us. What we are going to do is to allow 1 or 2 comments, then for whoever wishes to do so. Then we will, having told the press the purpose of this meeting, we can then thank them, excuse them, while we have our closed-door meeting. As I've said, it's not a press conference. It's a meeting of chief external examiners from across the country, and few, very few. We have, I think we invited 4. Former Minister Ochita, Senator Shehu Sani, Azu, the leadership MD, and Educare. So we have invited this. It's not a meeting of grandstanding. It's a meeting of making contribution, as we have always done, to national development. Can we have a moment of prayers in our individual ways? It was just unexpectedly, it just being natural, but that being human. And it does not mean that we have abdicated our responsibility to serve this nation. It is some people are taking advantage of that, thinking that we are at our weak points, making all sorts of claims. People that ordinarily, your standard compared with theirs. People cannot run a successful establishment anywhere who had grounded national institutions. They will now sit down and be pontificating. But it's not their business, because if it had not happened, you wouldn't have people grandstanding on what they least know about. So I want to say this clearly, particularly because I accepted responsibility, not because I do not know how to do blame game. People that work with me can testify to the fact that I do not care where you come from. Until this incident happened, I didn't know that I was surrounded by many Igbos, because I didn't look at them as Igbos. I look at them as my friend. But when things started happening and people are saying, this one is Igbo, which was unfortunate, because we need not look at where people come from. People that are mentioned, I asked one yesterday and he was embarrassed that, are you not a Lagos person? He said, no, I'm not Lagos, so I'm an Igbo from Delta. So, but I never knew, because I knew him as human being who was performing his role. So please, let us not descend to the level of those people who are parochial. I say it for the often time that they are with no conspiracy theory is relevant in this case. There is nothing to say North, South, Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa. Something happened, but people have been doing something well for years and something just went wrong, I will not throw them under the bus. No. No. And I say it clearly that those who want to take advantage of that, they are just deceiving themselves. I will just give you 3 examples. On the day that that thing happened, the day of the press conference, I was under intense pressure. The unfortunate case of a lady who was said to have committed suicide was painful for any parent, any normal parent, that, oh, somebody had committed a suicide. Then, unknown to many of you, I have, at that time when I was addressing the press conference, I thought many people had committed suicide. One is bad enough. But the text message I received, in fact, one of them who said, my daughter committed suicide this morning because of this, had to call me in the night that I was looking for money. That no, to treat the thing. I was under intense, giving the false impression that so many things are happening to these innocent children. One is bad enough. One is bad enough. And it's very sad. I will urge each and every one of us to have a moment of silence in honor of the memory of the lady who are departed on the basis of this. A moment, please. May our gentle soul rest in perfect peace. With our service providers who have been here. They now want to take the opportunity to deride our service providers who have been, some even said, somebody who had never been to Jamb, to look at quality assurance mechanism that we have here. I can say it anywhere, that there is no center of examination anywhere in this continent that has the type of facilities we have here. I'm not talking just as a Nigerian. Many of you who know me know that I've played active role in education in this continent and outside this continent. I've been president of AU. I've been on the board of almost all essential committees in the world that had to do with education assessment. How would somebody now, and if we are talking of even CBT, I started it at the University of Ilorin as Vice Chancellor. Even Jamb at that time had to come to understudy what we were doing. We are not strange to these things, but unfortunately, when things happen, some people want to take undue advantage. We will not allow it. Yes, we felt pained that what happened, but that does not mean that we do not know what we are doing. When this type of thing happens, there will be so many people, advisors, have chosen to own up, have chosen to take the responsibility because that's the right thing to do. It does not matter whether those who did it or this, whether they are Igbo or no Igbo. I don't want that type of trend at all. Because nobody did it because of where he came from. They did what they did because it has to. I've seen some other trends saying, oh, it's an Igbo agenda. I didn't know them as Igbos. I know them as workers. And that remains forever. Because I don't want anybody to use this type of sad situation, to now create lack of harmony among the workforce who have been working without, you see many of them, since a week ago, they had not even left the office, working day and night. Then the nation must be appreciative of their contributions. I think generally, this is what I want to say, and to say that, look, as Nigerians, let us face the reality and stop pursuing the shadow. The shadow is what many of us are pursuing. Somebody comes from somewhere. Somebody practices one religion. If we do not face the problem squarely, we are likely to be consumed all by it. And this is not something that we show. Examination malpractice, for instance, is taking a new dimension. A new dimension with AI. That anybody, and it has federal character. It's not limited to this is the group that is doing it. We are deceiving ourselves. It has federal character across the country. What our experience has shown. Let us all face this menace and tackle it rather than trading blames and spending our time on things that are more diversionary than what we should focus on. So I want to thank you and welcome one or two comments. Let me introduce the chairman. I don't know where you come from.
Once more, thank all members of the CE for your cooperation and for the good job you have been doing. We know that our assignment is mainly for national service. This situation and the condition that we have just experienced in Jamb can happen anywhere in the world. And when you are dealing with technologies, you don't work and expect that you will not get any hinge anywhere. Even if you go into history, those who built the Titanic boasted that it will never happen, but you know what happened. So when we are dealing with technologies, we can expect accidents anytime, but our ability to overcome the situation is what makes the difference. So we are here, and already you all know that as members of CEE, we meet almost every day online, and we always advise ourselves and make useful comments to ensure that we move forward. So even during this situation, everybody on the platform, we have shown our support and solidarity to our colleague because we know his value and we know that he has shown exemplary leadership by owning up, even though it wasn't his fault or anybody's fault. And I want to use this opportunity once more to encourage all of us to come together to ensure that this country moves forward. Nigeria is a very important country, not only in Africa, but to the whole world. And God has blessed us with human resources, natural resources. All we need to do is to make sure we come together and manage it well. And I am sure that all of you, if not all of you, 99.99% of you present here, we agree that we know the value of our registrar, and we know that he's equal to the task, and we trust his ability, and we trust the ability of everybody present here. So, like he has mentioned earlier, we are academics, and we don't take our actions based on comments that are coming from people who are not versatile with what we do. But as academics, we must show good leadership. As academics, we must show the right way. And whenever there is a challenge, it is our duty to ensure that we provide solutions. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you once more for responding to the short notice of this meeting. And I wish that all of us will make sincere contributions that we provide not only solutions to the present challenge, but even for unforeseen challenges that will come in the future. So thank you very much, and I wish us a very good deliberation in this meeting.
Thank you. Actually taking it from where the last speaker stopped. Some people were asking, why the hasty rescheduling? Those people are far from knowing the reality on ground. they don't have the interest of the students at heart, and maybe out of lack of knowledge. Anybody who is aware of how education is arranged will know that once Jamb conducts its UTME late April, from May, WASC starts, and it goes on till that's SSE for WAEC, and immediately NECO starts till July. Immediately NAPTEP follows. This same set of students are the one taking all these examinations. So once you miss your time, it will be difficult. Someone is saying, why don't you do it in July, August? I think they will have known that there is problem. Maybe they are oblivious of what happens. If you do that, what of NDA? What of Police Academy? What of Air Force Center that are regmented? And they will continue with the admission. So and you deprive these people of admission because they do not have UTME. So we are conscious of our responsibility to this nation. When this happens, my first reaction is to resign and just say, but I thought people advised me that, look, the students will never forgive you because you will have abandoned at a time and everybody will say, oh, I will have been this. Even somebody that is not built to be anything will think I have contributed to his not being what he is. So I took up the responsibility. It was not easy at all to be able to brave such things and say, look, I would sit there and make sure. We were doing that because at that time, the only space that we had was the space that WAEC had agric science practical on Friday. And we felt that we can move in and then be able to get, we can't get that type of space until 2 months, and we will have permanently deprived these students of their chance in life. So we knew that if we continue to mourn and groan over what had happened and we allow that space to escape, we may not. And I thank the students, just like people said, because you have about 95% attendance of all the, of course, is a very reasonable attendance. And we had also taken decision immediately that all those who miss that examination for whatever reason, the 5-point-something% that or 6% that miss the examination, we will, during mop-up, you know, we normally do annual mop-up throughout the country for those for one reason or the other. So we will package them with the mop-up. And it is for that reason we have also decided that even those who missed the earlier initial exam, who are absent, we will extend this opportunity to them to also receive. So that it is not that we are doing something that is not. In the university, you have make-up examination when students are sick and they have one reason or the other. It's only we don't allow the abuse of it. So we will allow all the candidates who had one reason or the other not to be present in this and the previous main exam. We will allow that, and that will be done. Secondly, I must thank WAEC sincerely, Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, NECO, ABU, and others who rallied around to make it possible. You know, like I said, WAEC has had agric science. We quickly had to move in, see how we can reschedule in a way that that's what minimized the issue of clash, because we had to work together immediately throughout the night. The HNO of WAEC was with me. And that is very, very important. The same thing with Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria. You know, they had their professional exam in the East. It was postponed. ABU had the distance learning examination. All of them, as you call on them, they were even there before me to say, look, we are ready. There was Beche for NECO. During that weekend, all these were put off. While we are doing that, those who don't know what it entails, they keep on pontificating. Why will you know? Why reschedule? They are using all types of language that they are not, they don't even know the meaning of some of the languages they are using. We immediately also established counseling and emergency call center, where we were attending to the candidates or their problems, and we are solving them, what do you have, and so on, granting them counseling services throughout the period. I want to thank all of you who are, particularly the Honorable Minister for Education, because it was his idea. It was the one who called me on that morning that counseling is very important, because we were at that point even confused. We were relying only on our ticketing. And he said, oh, ticketing is not enough. And fortunately, just 2 years ago, we procured the equipment for tests to voice to text, that we have the first. Those of you who are here last week, you'll see the type of very, very dynamic system we have, a service center. We just acquired that, not even knowing that this type of thing will happen. So we thank all these agencies, not to talk of people from all over the world, calling us, advising us, asking us, oh, why do you open your system to people? People can take undue advantage. At that time, our colleagues from all over the world did not know our peculiarities. They felt I was too open. They felt I was disclosing so many things, that there are certain things we need to educate our people. Look at this book, Manual of Critical Assessment Competencies for Tertiary Education Lectures in Nigeria. If you go to our website, you will find it there. We paid all the authors, led by Professor Nwogu. Professor Nwogu, Boniface Nwogu, is the best psychometric. There is no dispute about it in Africa today. He's presently, I think, a commissioner in Imo State. He's our chief consultant for psychometrics. Yeah. We wrote this. Why did we write this book? And paid off all the authors. Because there is ignorance about what we do in education. People who are supposed to not to even be serving tea where education is being discussed. You see them on television pontificating about things they know little about. They know little about, spreading ignorance. Many do not know the difference between achievement tests and selection tests, placement tests. They will just be talking about things at times. Some will even be saying, oh, it's such in America, this one. They don't know the difference. They don't know. They will model the whole thing up. Some will even say, extend the, have you ever heard of any placement test that is being extended anywhere in the world? But there are achievement tests that can be curtailed. That's the type of search where you have syllabus, you have everything like that. We decided to publish this as part of education. When people were talking about the highest scorer, the lowest scorer, and so on, we decided to sponsor this book and place it, paid all the authors of, and place it on our website that anybody could go there, download, study, know what we are doing, know the type of test method, the type of reporting. Look at Nigeria. Last year, people were talking about poor performance, and I didn't know what to say, because that was not the poor. In fact, it was the best in recent years. But because we changed the manner of reporting, you know, we do this type that we did this year, 20 to 200 to, this was the mundane one. But the one we have been doing before was the one that will not be glaring, because that is not the purpose. The purpose of our examination is placement. It is not an achievement test. It is a quiz given to qualified candidates. It's not UTME that qualified students into university education. If a student does not score even 100 over 400 and is not able to get a place and therefore deprived of education, the boy is not a failure, it's the parents who are the failure. Because if they had money, whether stolen or anything, they can send him to Ghana there. And he will, because he needed just 5 credits. We are signatory to Arusha Convention, which our leaders call Addis Ababa Convention now, that stipulate what is the entry qualification across the world. And it is 5 SSC. Those who conduct anything outside it still make 5 SSC the basic qualification. And I give people example. You have 10 children and you want to travel to Lagos and your car can only take 4. And you tell your children, I don't want to use age. I don't want to use state to determine you. I don't want to use who is your mother. I will give you a test. Anybody who passed that test, the first to pass the test will go with me. And everybody say yes. Say, who is the president of so-so country? Write it down. The first to write it down. The first to write it down, then happen. One may score 9. One may score 3. One may score 2. Because it's a placement one. What is important in a placement examination is the ranking, not the score. Number 1 should not be number 2 and vice versa. It's the ranking that is important. So, but in Nigeria now, because people always, and they talk of highest scorer, the person who had the highest scorer, we had an example in Ilorin. About 3-4 years ago, Ilorin were not taking anybody for medicine who scored less than 250 in UTME. And this boy, I think, a boy, yes, a girl. This girl scored 240. So Unilorin said, no, you are off. You are out of the consideration. And the girls changed to physiology in order to be able to do their post-UTME. At the end of the post-UTME, and you know they will add school SAT, post-UTME with UTME. You know our UTME is just 50%. The others that they will add, this lady topped the class. That is the total accumulation. Then she became the first, even in medicine. So they say you cannot read. And the girl protested to us that, look, in the exam conducted by Jamb, I wasn't the best. But when you now have the accumulation, I'm the best. There is nobody in medicine that is more qualified than me. And we called the university. So look. This girl has called our attention to a lacuna in our system. Cumulatively, she's the best. She was the best. And therefore, she should be taken. That was what changed the parameter of cutting people off because somebody can score 200. By the time you had the school SAT and the post-UTME, it might be on top. So when people start celebrating somebody that is the highest scorer for UTME, we don't indulge in that. When people say, send this to us, send this, that, except those who want to give scholarship, that we don't want to deprive candidates. We would consult with the candidates. If they are willing, we send their names. So I've said this to just say that, please, particularly gentlemen of the press, educate the people and let those who know little about education. Education is a profession. Let them stop talking about things they know little about, because it's very offensive that somebody that ought not to be a primary school teacher pontificating and grandstanding and telling somebody who had undergone the system what to do. It's just like a truck puller, or what do they call those truck pusher, directing a pilot on how to fly. I don't know. But unfortunately, that's where we find ourselves. I want to thank you once again and say that we will continue with the meeting, and later we will call at the appropriate time. We will make the decision known. Thank you, the gentlemen of the press.